I'm going to give it just a second, just a brief moment or two here. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, all of you who are joining us for Awesome Hardware. This is, Awesome Hardware is a show. It's awesome. It's about hardware. We stream live to youtube.com/Paul's Hardware. That's my channel. Also to youtube.com/c/bitwit, which is Kyle's channel. We streamed the first half to Kyle's channel already. That was episode 124-A. So if you didn't watch that and you want to sort of see where we've been and where we've come to the point we're at now, then check that out. Link is in the description. Although I probably need to update that because I don't think I updated that with your link. I'll fix that. I'll fix that very soon.
Of course.
Brief warning, we do drink a few beverages here, and we do perhaps have some adult language that comes out from time to time. So if you are not comfortable with that, then perhaps you should look elsewhere for your tech news. But yeah, let's get right into it here. First off, we have some stores, and if you guys are interested in supporting our channels and the stuff that we do and the content that we make, check out our stores. We have an ongoing t-shirt design contest, and we have a winner for the contest.
A couple winners.
Mudsy. Well, a couple winners, that's true.
Yeah.
Mudsy made the RGB Everything shirt, which is now available.
Yep.
You guys can purchase it. This is awesome.
That is my favorite design.
We love it.
We
both thought it was really cool.
It's super
well thought out
original.
and very well designed too.
Yeah.
John, who does our store, was able to basically take it and make it into a shirt without very much work at all, which is great when you print shirts and stuff. We have some awesome hardware merch. So if you buy the Sword Fight shirt, for example, that was made by Brian, or if you get that RGB Everything shirt, the proceeds are split between me and Kyle. Other than that, the rest of the stuff at my store, I got some bottle openers, got some mugs, pint glasses, hoodies, shirts, ball caps, all very high quality merchandise. So check it out at paulshardware.net. Kyle's store is also available at bitwit.tech/store. Jesus, he's dropping stuff.
It's okay, it's my phone. It's fine.
Along with the RGB
Perfectly
Everywhere and other awesome hardware merch, Kyle has a Beware of Bottlenecks shirt that's now available. You guys should purchase that.
Thank you, Steve, for that design.
Available in a couple different colors and made by Steve. So thanks to all you guys who have been submitting designs to us. And feel free to check out our stores if you want to submit more designs.
Yes.
Also, ongoing right now, but ending tomorrow, is my giveaway of this computer made by Main Gear.
I like how you said celebrating 655,482 subscribers.
Yes,
It's the milestone we all aspire to.
I was waiting for it here. There was this very specific. See, it turned right there.
Oh, my favorite!
I caught it live.
You know
Switching
how most people's favorite numbers is like
from 41
7
to 42
or 23. Paul's favorite number, his lucky number is 655,482.
Right there. So,
Fun fact about Paul.
It's an Epic system, an AMD Ryzen 7 1800X, 2 GTX 1080s, and SLI, full custom water cooling loop by Main Gear, with parts from EK, fittings from Bits Power, coolants, quick disconnects, an NVMe SSD 960 Pro. It's a super awesome system. So check links in the descriptions to enter if you haven't already.
Are you going to sign the system at anywhere?
That's not currently planned. It's completely packed up already. I'll wait on the winner. I mean, if they ask for it, I can probably pull it out and do that or something. That would be too terrible.
Good value add.
I've done that before, so yeah. Anyway, though.
Sexy. That giveaway.
Yeah. So so endeth the beginning of the show introductory stuff. I'm gonna try to burn through the show fairly quickly today because we started kind of late.
Yes.
Because I was not ready. I was not prepared. I have a new soundboard.
You do.
We should test it right
Which
now.
sounds great. Can you do the fun one? There's a fun one.
We're gonna do the fun one.
How do you?
We're gonna go up to 24 here. Oh, there we go. So
what is this now?
Our soundboard can do fancy things
guys.
like apply effects. No, not yet.
Oh,
ready? So we're about to both turn into like demons. Ready?
I will destroy you and everything you love. How does this sound? Is everyone enjoying awesome hardware? Should we make a new awesome hardware intro where we both sound like this and we talk about awesome hardware and how awesome it is, I hope you all burn in the flames of 1,000 assholes. Next time we do this, we'll use headphones so we can hear it ourselves. I know.
Can't wait to hear that back.
Because it's a lot more. It's a lot more fun when you can hear yourselves. All right, chat seems to be reacting. Anyway, there's 24 different effects that we can use.
We are now broadcasting to you from hell.
Live
from hell.
All right.
Sweet.
So there we go. Having fun with my new soundboard. I did do a brief unboxing and a quick test of this video on that. I'll post later this week.
This is clearly the best tech show on the internet. Just saying.
All right.
Just saying.
Cheers to all you guys. Thanks for being with us here. Right now we're drinking Lagunitas Wilco Tango Foxtrot.
You get the reference there, correct?
Yeah, WTF.
WTF.
A multi-robust jobless recovery ale. I don't know
Jobless recovery?
I don't know what that means. Lagunitas Brewery has some random senses of humor.
It's really good, though.
It is quite tasty, actually.
It's one of my faves, I think.
All right. Starting out with tech news, over on AnandTech, they had a little blurb here about NVIDIA's announcements and stuff they're talking about over at the event going on in where is it? In Europe? Yeah, it's in
Europa.
GTC Europe 2017 going on right now. So NVIDIA, they talked about car stuff, and usually when NVIDIA talks about car stuff, you're like, all right, NVIDIA, let's move on to it. Let's get over to the GPU stuff.
Pretty much.
This actually does have some trickle down, some crossover with the mainstream GPUs, in that apparently this unit that they're talking about here, the Drive PX Pegasus, actually is using the next generation of Intel GPUs inside of it.
Intel GPUs?
I'm sorry, NVIDIA GPUs.
Oh.
I've had a few drinks. Anyway, this is NVIDIA's first level 5 system, and we've talked about autonomous driving before, and there's different levels of it. Level 5 is like the full thing. Completely autonomous, drives itself, no human interaction.
You'd be sleeping.
The car drives up and you get in, and the car drives you to where you want to go, and that's what it is.
Okay.
So this is a big step for them when it comes to the hardware that they've developed that's capable of doing the things that needs to be done in order to have an autonomous vehicle, which is scanning lots of information that's in front of it and analyzing objects and that kind of thing and determining the best way to drive without killing people.
Sounds good.
But inside this unit, they have 2 unannounced post-Volta next-gen discrete GPUs. Yeah. You might actually see what looks to be like 4 units here. This appears to be probably a couple of the GPUs and a couple are the SoCs. According to the article, this is the holy grail of what NVIDIA has been building towards over the last few years. Because NVIDIA has been doing a lot in autonomous vehicle technology and driverless car technology because it is a field that potentially has an insane amount of money to be made within it.
Hell yeah. No kidding.
So if you can get in on the ground floor, then that's definitely what you want to do. Now, to be clear, this was announced today. Dev kits of this unit won't be available until next year. NVIDIA is only shipping Big Volta, or the large Volta, GV100, for compute products recently, if you're in the enterprise space. If you're in the retail or the mainstream consumer gamer space, you're still dealing with the Pascal garbage that they're trying to foist on us with
totally
their
useless
crappy Pascal 1080s and 1080 Ti's, while the enterprise has their Volta.
I'm throwing away my 1080 Ti's as soon as I get home.
Screw the 1080s and the
They're going in the garbage.
They're horrible.
Smash them with a hammer first.
Yeah. But Volta's exciting, of course, but there's already Volta product shipping. This is the generation after Volta, and if you look at any of the roadmaps, they only go up to Volta. We haven't really seen any of the leaked roadmaps that have anything beyond that. But obviously, NVIDIA does have plans and stuff in the works. The heart or hearts of this Pegasus unit are going to be 2 Xavier SoCs that NVIDIA has been developing. They combine an integrated Volta GPU that has Volta Tensor cores integrated into it as well, with unnamed octa-core ARM CPU, with an unnamed octa-core ARM CPU design.
Okay.
So that's the SoC that kind of runs the show. And then, of course, the post-Pascal-based GPUs are what do the heavy lifting. There's a little bit of deduction done here in the article because the overall unit here is supposed to have a 500-watt TDP, but still supposed to be air-cooled, which is somewhat impressive. It is supposed to go in a vehicle, so you might have a different thermal environment that they're dealing with.
Now, is this something that's going to be shipping with cars natively by default out of the box, so to speak, when you get them, or is this going to be something that you can add to a car to make it
The car would
drive?
probably need to be designed with this integrated into it, but this is also an early announced unit. Probably what this is going to be used is for development purposes, whereas in 2, 3, 4 years, when there's actually vehicles that are being developed with this integrated, they're probably going to have newer technology, so the hardware is probably not going to be exactly the same.
Okay.
But they do have some specs based on it here, including some teraflops numbers, as well as, of course, DDP, as well as DL tops, which is a AI benchmark number that I'm only just familiarizing myself with, which I assume means to order pizza.
That is very necessary.
Securely. I'm probably only saying that because I'm hungry right now. Anyway, I
feel you.
But 500-watt TDP, air-cooled, based on the other componentry that goes into this unit, the good folks over in Anantech have deduced that there's probably around a 220-watt TDP left over for each of those two GPUs. And those GPUs probably, most likely, are the exact same GPUs and the exact same architecture, and maybe even the exact same silicon that would also be ported over to be used in desktop GPUs as well. That's why it's somewhat interesting from the gamer's perspective. But a 220-watt TDP is fairly high as GPUs go, so that would make them high-end GX100 class, GX102 class GPU designs, if they're following the naming conventions that NVIDIA has used for Volta and Pascal and so on. These devices are going to be targeting commercial applications in robo-taxis and driverless long-haul trucking. So we've talked a little bit about autonomous vehicles here. It's coming. It's going to happen. And it certainly seems like one of the key areas that people who are developing in this area are looking at is basically where a lot of driving happens, which is taxis, jobs where the job involves driving for a large portion of the time, long-haul trucking. If you're in those fields, I would follow this pretty closely.
Because you might be out of a job pretty soon. Yeah,
because there's a serious potential here for these types of things to overtake a lot of jobs that people do right now. And discussing the outcome of the potentials of that trend is beyond the scope of what we're going to do on today's show, because we've been drinking. We're not.
Yes, we have.
We're not going to be able to deal with it.
We're not qualified to talk on any of these topics.
All right, so let's move on.
Yay!
So there was a bit of a hubbub over the past few days about Intel potentially having a CPU with VEGA, with a VEGA GPU or VEGA GPU cores integrated into it. This was actually originally from a site called nasilamactech.com. It was picked up and regurgitated by WCCF Tech, and WCCF Tech, along with several other websites, basically helped spread the information like, oh, maybe there's this thing in the works with with Intel and AMD, but it's not true. Anyone who's heard any of this stuff recently, it's not. This is the reason why a lot of the times when we bring in a WCCF Tech article to you and show you guys stuff about it, we're like, this is a WCCF Tech article.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt. But there's lots of other websites as well that have been kind of duped by this. And
it kind of just explodes from there. All you need is one source, and then everyone thinks it's true. Yeah. Because it's on the internet. It must be.
So, this originated, and actually I'm pulling up WCCF Tech right now because I wanted to look at the article itself and see if they've posted a correction, because this has been corrected and the information is no longer true. No, they have not. I mean, I don't. No, there's
It's
nothing in
there's
this
no
article
edit.
that they've updated and corrected. So this is the picture that this is all based on.
Because it's still getting shit tons
which
of
is
views.
like,
Paul.
oh, it's blurry and granulated, and it says VEGA inside, and maybe that means that Intel, because this looks somewhat official, maybe that means that Intel is developing a CPU that actually has VEGA internally. No, that's not the case.
Where did they say that picture was even from or taken?
That was actually taken. It's from an Intel facility, but it's because Intel has a program going on, and this is from tech-critter.com with the expose on this story. Intel has a program going on as part of an employee appreciation program, where they take their employees and they blow up their pictures and they make posters of them. I'm sure it's not awkward at all.
Standing inside.
And they put the name of the employee
And inside.
inside because their employees.
Paul inside.
You're right. There's a Paul inside.
Paul, who? That guy's. He's an imposter, Paul.
Look at that guy right
I don't
there.
trust him.
There's a Paul inside.
He's trying
there.
to assume your identity.
So yeah,
Fucker.
Intel, in their efforts
So there's
to
a person
boost employee morale or whatever,
They have an employee named Vega?
did this thing, and yes, there's an employee named Vega. So there
His
was a
name's
guy
Vega?
who had Vega inside on it, and a bunch of websites picked this story up and
What?
started being like, "What's Intel working on with Radeon Technologies?"
Well, if
for-"
you were at the freaking event, you would have known, bro.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
it's not true. It's been debunked. The original.
But-
hold on.
But
Where'd
okay,
it go?
but can we argue whether or not this would make a pretty compelling offer if Nvidia and Intel teamed up to make some killer
Yes.
APU?
It would be
that
a
had
very
integrated
it
VEGA
would be a
graphics.
very interesting story.
That's super exciting.
Intel has denied it every time they've been asked about it. They've categorically said no, that's not happening, and we're not working on it. So this is just
Wouldn't they have everything to gain and nothing to lose because AMD is both of their competitors?
all right. Well,
Right? Wouldn't that make sense? Like an APU partnership between Intel and Nvidia. I don't see why that hasn't happened yet. I mean, because there's probably some glaring reason why they don't work together on something like that. But
yeah.
I just feel like for the consumer
So
that'd
look,
be awesome.
This is where the story originated on nasilamatech.com, who posted, as they should have done, update false alarm guys with additional information about it. I caught this story because Ryan Shrout from PC Perspective was tweeting about it, and I will say that anyone who's reported on this story who's not posted an update and clarified things with people is
Irresponsible
basically
journalism.
leaving their story up there as a clickbait thing that people will click on and read and be misled so that they can get more traffic and make more money, and
Yep.
and it's kind of BS.
Yeah.
So shame to anyone who is doing that.
For shame on you and your family.
I'm gonna check Tweaktown because they had a story on it
did they?
earlier.
Was it by Anthony?
I don't know.
Was it my beloved Anthony?
Tribe Pegasus, TSMC.
Hey, we're scrubbing through the Tweaktown website with no heinous ads.
That's because ad block.
'Cause ad
It's
block's
we have
on.
uBlock Origin going. Final Fantasy, Patriot. All
It's a
right.
Christmas miracle.
If it is still there, it might be buried or something like that.
Don't watch the latest Star Wars trailer because I heard that it is full of spoilers.
Oh, really?
That's what Wifey Sauce's brother informed me of.
I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah? You didn't think it was too
I didn't think
spoilery?
it was that spoilery. I don't know.
You thought it was a little spoilery.
All right, I'm not seeing it here on Tweaktown, so maybe they took it down. But when I was on Tweaktown earlier, I swear to God, they're loading up a crypto miner through their website.
Oh,
I'm
I wouldn't
like
doubt it.
98% sure
I would
that they're
not
doing
doubt
that.
it.
All right, let's move on.
Got some nice RX.
AOL Instant Messenger. Did you use that back in the day? Are you
Oh,
old
wait.
enough to have used
Of course.
AOL Instant
Yeah,
Messenger?
I remember receiving, like, as a young little chode, I remember receiving, like, the AOL discs in the mail,
Oh yeah.
right? And then we only had one
you get
computer.
like 800 free hours per month or something
Yep.
like that.
And we loaded up one of those things. Like, my parents still use an AOL email.
Well, they should still be okay with their AOL email.
But
But AIM, AOL Instant Messenger,
okay.
is
gone?
Is kaput. It's going.
Okay.
It's going the way of the dodo.
Okay.
It will be discontinued.
Well, who even uses that anymore? That was all the rage back when I was
Some people apparently still use it.
Really?
If you guys can remember some of the lingo and some of the information that goes back and forth.
ASL. Wow.
So yeah, AOL announced on Friday they're discontinuing AIM, AOL Instant Messenger. One of the first widely used instant messaging apps. Some classic. This is on the Denver Post for some reason. But some classic dialogue here. ASL, please.
Age, sex, location.
Age, sex, and location.
Of course.
And that kind of thing.
We all know.
That's how you communicate with people on the internet.
That's what I say to people in real life too. When I meet someone, like, hey, how's it going? I'm Kyle. ASL.
What's it's exactly lists these
That's
details
how I do it.
of myself.
Yeah.
Perfectly normal
I'm
in
a people person.
social environment. But yeah, one of the first widely used chat programs launched in '97.
Yep.
So 20 years it's been around. Over 100 million users was where it peaked in back in 2001. If you remember buddy lists, you'd have your buddies.
Buddy lists.
You could set an away message. So that people would know where you were doing, what you were doing, and where you were while you were
jerking
away.
it. BRB in
Jerking
2
it.
minutes.
Yeah. Exactly. In fact, this predated like AFK. AFK.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, AFK. I feel like I started AFK. That was like in the World of Warcraft days, like mid to late 2000s.
AFK. Yep. That's probably where that originated. Yep.
Before that, you had an away message.
That's true.
Leave people information about you. AOL itself was fiercely protective of their dominance of the instant messaging market, which they had fairly early on because AOL was a very popular service for accessing the internet before people realized that you could just have a direct broadband connection and that AOL wasn't the internet.
Yep.
But yeah, they fended off many rivals, including Microsoft, by blocking their messaging platforms from communicating with AOL users. In my experience, this led to the use of many third-party programs, several different third-party programs that could communicate on different instant messaging platforms. I believe I was trying to remember the name of the one that I used for a while, but I feel like it was called Trinity, but I don't think that's right. I think it was Try something, because it was like AOL and MSN and like one other were the main ones you could use to communicate with. Trillion. Nuclear music. Yes, yeah. Trillion and Trench 1253.
Never used that one.
Exactly, Trillion. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you. I love how chat just knows what you're thinking.
Yeah, of course.
It's just like, anytime you're like, I don't know this thing, chat's like, here's the thing.
Because 815 minds are better than one.
Absolutely. Trillion, thank you, chat.
Thanks, chat.
For filling in that void in my memory. All right.
We can all sleep at night.
The parent company, Oath, which is the combination of AOL and Yahoo we've talked about on the show before, said the platform's demise is a casualty of the evolving way people communicate, since there's many of their options right now.
Well, yeah,
AIM, the program itself will continue to function until December 15th. After that, users won't be able to sign in. All data will be deleted.
Wow.
Incidentally, since you said your parents still have an AOL email address, there's also people with AIM.com email addresses. Those will still work. Those aren't going away.
Okay. So the email service
if
works.
you happen to still have one of those, your email's not going to disappear.
Okay.
All right, couple more stories. Equifax. Equa freaking screwed up the ass is more like it. We've talked about the Equifax situation on the show several different weeks in the past. They basically got hacked. They lost the information of pretty much every single person in the United States who has used currency before.
Ouch.
They have now announced that 2.5 more million customers are also affected by this hack. So if you weren't among the original 144 million or so, maybe now there's more of a likelihood that you are.
Yikes.
It seems weird that a number like 2.5 million should seem like a drop in the bucket compared to what they already screwed up with. But with this information now in the hands of the public, who is, of course, applying a hefty amount of scrutiny to Equifax as well as the other credit reporting agencies, and be like, what are these companies about, and how do they work, and how do they exist, and everything. While that's going on, the IRS has awarded a multi-million-dollar fraud prevention contract to Equifax worth $7.25 million.
What?
So this was a no bid contract, and just file this under like why, what?
So they're giving them that
Yes,
much money?
the IRS
Is giving them $7 million.
After all
All
of
this
this happened,
Yeah, the shit show.
gave
Equifax
Equifax a contract worth more than $7 million to verify
For-
taxpayer identities and help prevent fraud under a no bid contract. Because
Well, if everyone's getting screwed over by Equifax, then maybe that's more work for the IRS in the end. Maybe, I mean, there's a trickle effect, maybe. Like, everyone gets screwed over by Equifax, their credit's thrown off, maybe their numbers are fucked. Now the IRS has, like, their hands full with a bunch of bitch work to kind of, I don't know, bounce back from this fiasco. Maybe the $7 million is really to help themselves. Like, they're like, okay, we'll give you all the support you need just to make our own lives easier. Because, as far as I know, the IRS has never done anything for anyone other than themselves. So I can't imagine that they're actually just bailing out Equifax out of the kindness of their own heart. This has to be something that is affecting the IRS in a real way already. That they're like, okay, we'll just, like, it's worth the money. We already have everyone's fucking money. We've already taxed everyone for 2016 and every year prior. We'll just give you this money to somehow fix it yourself, maybe? Maybe it's like hiring a maid service, you know? It's like someone took a shit in the middle of your living room. Like, well, I'd rather just give you $7 million to clean it up than have me clean it myself, type of thing. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Carry on. Don't listen to me. Don't say anything I'm saying.
Drunk. So drunk. So drunk. We are Equifax. You will do as we bid. You have no other choice. Suck our dicks.
Bitches.
there we go. All right. Yeah, I don't have much. I don't have much commentary there. The main thing I want to point out when it comes to Equifax, watch out for fraud. There's going to be a bunch of fraud going on this holiday season.
Oh, yeah.
Watch out for tax return fraud. There's going to be a bunch of that going on come the first quarter of 2018.
Oh, yeah.
If you are at all worried about this, which you should be if you're an American citizen, potentially consider freezing your credit and definitely file your tax returns as early as you possibly can come 2018. Okay.
Everyone's really loving those effects, by the way.
Oh, the effects? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Do the whole show that way.
The whole show with the effect. All right, so.
Woo!
Let's move on. Oh, wait, we have a sponsor spot. We have a sponsor spot.
Sponsor spot. It's the Capitan.
My Deep Cool.
Le Capitan.
All right, so guys, Deep Cool is sponsored Awesome Hardware for the month of October. Are you doing okay there?
Yep. Just doing a little delicate balancing act.
Deep Cool, of course, makes a bunch of cooling products as well as computer cases.
Yes, they do.
They have a wide array of products, and today we're going to be showing you very briefly. What's going on? Okay.
Alright.
Very close.
Reading chat. Alright.
The Deep Cool Captain 240EX, which is an all-in-one liquid cooler. It has a 240 millimeter radiator.
Hey, there it is.
This is the white version. On Kyle's half of the show, we showed you guys the black version. It also comes in whites. So the whites is on the actual pump block unit here, as well as the radiator itself, as well as the fins on the radiator.
Saves you the trouble of having to spray paint it white if you're going for like a white themed system or something like that. And
if you are looking for an all-in-one liquid cooler, and you want a white themed build, and you want RGB functionality as well.
Yep.
Well, this seems like it's right up your alley.
The RGB implementation is around the sort of ring here, the reactor ring, as they call it. So you can pretty much make that whatever color to your heart's content, which is pretty cool. All the cables are either black or black and sleeved, so they look pretty sleek, especially the ones coming off of the water block. They look really nice. Got a 3-pin connector there. The fans are PWM. 4-pin, I believe, and it does also include a fan hub. You get a fan hub, or a fan splitter, I should say, for connecting like 4 or 5 fans. which is pretty cool. The
white,
fans are white too.
Yeah, the white edition fans look pretty cool too. I like the black and white design.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of rubberization on the corners for some sound dampening effects, and they have like these slots in them, which, I mean, those slots
They do things.
either have to improve the cooling or at least they just look cool because there's little slots.
They either are cool or look cool.
Yes.
One or the other.
So guys, GamersStorm.com is where you can go to check some of these products out. And a big thank you to Deep Cool for sponsoring Awesome Hardware. And I spun the fan.
This episode is powered by Deep Cool.
It's powered by Deep Cool.
Ah, yes.
Oh, and one last thing. This kit also comes with a little RGB controller unit. If you can plug it in directly, it's compatible with motherboards from Asus with the Aura Sync, from Gigabyte with RGB Fusion, MSI with Mystic Light Gaming, ASRock with RGB LEDs. But if you don't have a fancy motherboard with any of those things, it also comes with a little control unit that you can use, as well as an additional RGB LED strip that you can integrate with it to get yourself lit.
That is the best, I think, is when manufacturers give you the option to control the LEDs via hardware or software.
It's all about choice.
It is.
All right.
It really is. Thanks, Deep Cool.
Thank you, Deep Cool, for sponsoring Awesome Hardware. Let's move on. I'm gonna close that.
Move on to what, Paul?
What is next?
Hot and heavy hardware.
Next is Hot and Heavy Hardware.
Woo!
Look, I have a lower third for it. Hot and Heavy.
Oh, we're talking about the half of the H500P?
Did you post your video?
Why not? It is uploaded now, and I can actually post it right now if I wanted to.
But we're live.
Like, we're live. What if I just posted it like while we're live?
So
talk about the half.
Hot and Heavy Hardware. We're going to start off with a little bit of
happens.
discussion about the half. The half H500P, Cooler Master's newest case, originally shown at Computex this year, had a lot of hype around it. A lot of people who were excited about this case,
Sure
and
did.
I think a lot of it had to do with some of the design, which looked pretty nice.
Yep.
I think some of it had to do with the legacy of the half series because it's been around for quite a while, and when it first came out, there were quite a few variants of it that were very popular. And you know, there were some pretty impressive looking videos, screenshots, thumbnails, and everything that went up of it at Computex.
True.
Now, Gamers Nexus, good old Steve, as well as of course Snowflake.
Snowflake?
Snowflake is the cat.
Snowflake's the cat, right?
He did his review of this, and he, as you can see from the get-go here, he's having a hard time. Did you watch his?
I did.
You
I thought it was very well done.
So, Steve. All right. I'm gonna critique Steve here. When have you ever tried to lift a case this way?
Let's see.
Have you ever?
Let me see how he's lifting it.
Have you ever gripped a case that way?
Well, not really.
Right? Have you?
No, not necessarily. But it was
Okay.
for theatric effect.
It was
for
for
dramatic
effect, and it's not like he doesn't have a point. It certainly is true.
He also
the
comments that it was exaggerated.
Yes, the front panel and top panel do come off
Way too easily.
more
I
easily
will say.
than you might expect. But I've done a video on this case. Kyle has done a video on this case. It's not up quite yet, but
Posting right now.
You're literally posting it right now.
Right.
You're
Yeah,
throwing
within-
shade on my half of the
within the
show
next-
by posting a video right now.
Yes, I am.
Everyone go watch Kyle's video right now.
It'll be
instead
up
of
within the
watching-
next 2 minutes.
watching Awesome Hardware.
Give me 2 minutes.
Okay, so
Continue on.
point being, Steve's video came out this morning. He was one of the earlier ones to have it up because apparently they changed the embargo lift to 5 a.m. from 8 a.m. or something.
I didn't keep track of the time.
don't-
I was
I
like, I
don't
know
know.
it's on this day. That's all. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
all I knew.
But
It's been very polarizing.
But yeah,
That's
he
for
was
sure.
he was fairly critical of it, due largely in part to the front and top panels.
Right.
Also
thermals.
due to the
Airflow?
well, he critiqued the airflow, which is that of all of his critiques, I think was the most valid, of course,
yeah,
because he did
for
do
sure.
some thermal testing on it, which
Yeah, which I did not.
much
in mine.
more in depth than either of us went.
Mm-hmm.
He also critiqued that there's a vertical GPU mount, which if you use a vertical GPU that has a taller PCB, which many GPUs do have, third-party designs, that it conflicts potentially with an air cooler that might be positioned above it. Now, I also wanted to point out that there's others who reviewed this as well. OC3D.net, for example, was one of them. And OC3D.net,
what do they say?
they have lots of nice pictures and stuff like that.
What did they say?
I mean, there's some cool features for the case. Some covers for some of the cable management and that kind of thing. Some panels that go in the back here and whatnot. OC3D.net gave it their ultimate award.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, the video from OC3D.net by Tiny Tom Logan was very complimentary. I was not able to watch the entire thing because it's 25 minutes. That's actually relatively short for a TTL video. But he went over the whole thing and he was really stoked on it. So I think this just goes to show that different people have different experiences.
Yeah.
And that it is important when you're looking at reviews of any given product, especially when it's something like a case, which might be a little bit more subjective than something like a CPU, where it's just like, how fast is this, and run the tests and what it comes down to.
Right.
It's important to take different varying viewpoints into account. I think a lot of Steve's criticism was very valid.
Sure.
But at the same time, I built in this case, and I had a reasonably good time with it.
Same here.
There were some aspects of it that stood out to me as maybe not ideal.
Right.
But there were a lot of design elements that worked pretty well. And I thought, at least internally, I mean, it's built like a tank internally.
Internally.
Yeah, as far as that goes.
Right.
And
Inner
it was an interesting idea that they had with the dual cover system that they had going on for the base,
the cable management,
the power supply basement at the bottom.
Yeah. Right.
And there's different positions that you can use for that unit and that kind of thing.
Right.
It did seem like a little bit challenging to pull all that stuff out, but I don't know. It's like, I feel like there's the perspective that you look at a case from like our perspective, where it's like, I'm probably going to be pulling stuff out of that within a week
regularly, yeah.
Versus somebody who's like, I'm going to build this system and it's going to be there for a year until I clean it out or something like that, which is a different kind of experience. So
right.
Anyway,
I definitely agree with Steve on the panels being very loose and just not seeming secure at all. Especially, I think when it comes to us reviewers, we're constantly moving around our hardware. And that even goes for like full-blown systems, right? We build a system, and we're moving that computer, that full-blown desktop, from A to B. We're moving it, we're tweaking it, we're like moving it, from this desk to another. And I felt like just picking up the half, or the H500P, just was difficult. It was difficult because at least the top panel or the front panel would pop off, and it didn't seem as secure as a lot of other cases I've handled in the past.
You gotta grip the base.
You gotta grip the base, but I mean, you shouldn't have to you shouldn't have to resort to only grabbing the case from one area. I feel like when a case is said and done, when you've built the system in the case and you wipe your hands clean and it's finished, you should be able to just grip the case or grab it from any position and move it from A to B without any trouble. But I felt like the panels were unnecessarily loose for some reason that I could not find, when they could have just used, like as Steve was saying, the very cheap alligator clips to just make them hold in a little bit more securely. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, safety first kind of applies not just to your own mortality as a human, but also to the hardware that you're using and building with. So I felt like safety first applies to the system that I've just built as well. And I could easily see someone like carrying a full system, not being familiar with the case, the chassis itself, and accidentally slipping off like the top panel, the front panel, and having the case, the whole system take a tumble or whatever. There are a lot of things that Cooler Master did right with this case, but I also feel like cases in the last 5-10 years have come so far, because now when you like a $100 case is not the same as a $100 case 5 years ago.
That's very true. And
I felt like with $150 MSRP with the H550P,
500.
H500P, you can get pretty much 80 to 85% of the features with a $100 case as you can with the H500P nowadays. So it kind of boils down to like, are those extra few features worth it to you as a user to pay a $50 premium over this case? And again, it's all going to boil down to you as a user. But I felt like just for the basics, like the panels at the very least should have been. And like in my review, as you guys will see if you watch it, like that was the one thing that I kind of hit on throughout the video. I'm like, I still can't believe how loose these panels are just as I'm going about building. It's great when you're building and you need to take it off because it comes off like butter, but at the same time, there were just certain things that you would expect from a $150 case here in 2017 that just didn't live up to the expectation, I guess. And it's also, I feel like Cooler Master kind of had it tough because there was so much hype around this case that oftentimes it's hard to live up to that hype. And it's even more difficult when you're charging a pretty hefty premium for it. So
yeah, they were saying like 140, I think, at Computex. So I feel like maybe the hype bumped the price up a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
but
that's possible.
H500P wasn't the only case that Cooler Master launched today. Actually, they also have a Masterbox MB600L, which is a much more reasonable $50.
50
or 49 US dollars. Masterbox MB600L features an acrylic side panel. So unfortunately, it's not the tempered glass. We have been seeing some more reasonably priced, like $60-ish tempered glass side panel featuring cases from like Vantex and stuff like that.
It's a standard now. It's come standard.
But
tempered glass should come standard.
The case itself, and there's actually some better images over here on the Cooler Master site.
Vantex.
Cooler Master site itself, but yeah, it's got the freeform modular design, so it's compatible with the other Masterbox series upgrades and add-ons that are already available. There's 3 different colors, so you've got red accents, blue accents, or silver accents that come on the edges, and it's got black with a brushed metal front panel. And there's actually a couple different versions. This one here has the 5 1/4 inch bay on the top. You can also get it without that 5 1/4 inch bay. So either way, depending on whether or not you need that expandability. It comes with a single 120mm fan only, and there is no exhaust on the top. But you do have some radiator support up in the front. 240 or 280mm rads can fit in the model that comes with the 5 1/4 inch bay, or you can go all the way up to 360mm 3x120 rad on the front if you go with the version without that. Acrylic side panel, and there you go.
Looks pretty clean.
Yeah, pretty clean.
Yeah.
Basic.
I'm behind it.
$50.
Yeah,
I mean, I love a solid $50 case because for a budget build, you'd just be like, you need to spend $50 on your case.
Yeah.
Here's a good case.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Cases have come so far.
This one's looking pretty clean. I would want to compare this as far as features and build quality
like
to
a P300 or
P300 or some or one of the ones like we said that have the tempered glass side panel because again this one is acrylic. It's a pretty clean looking acrylic piece, but these are just images. You know, acrylic still suffers from the
easily scratchable,
easily scratched, not quite as durable and that kind of thing. But anyway,
not as shiny.
That's the Masterbox. Last thing for Hot and Heavy Hardware here, this is actually from Reddit, and 10 gigabit Ethernet. Any of you guys interested in that for some high-speed transference between your home devices or whatever? This Reddit thread is more specifically about devices based on a Quantia's new AQC107 controller, which there are a couple of. From Asus and Gigabyte. And if you actually go to these links, Asus has the Asus XGC100C for $100. Look at that. Look at that red heatsink on there.
That is bold.
Red PCB there as well.
Quite bold.
$100 for that one, or Gigabyte if you want something that's a little more subdued. The Gigabyte GC-AQC107. Also a 10 gigabit Ethernet, although apparently temporarily out of stock on Amazon for $100. So yeah.
How much are they normally? I haven't even like browsed.
I feel like prior to now it's been about $170, $180
Okay.
if you just need a 10 gig Ethernet card to drop into a PCIe slot. So a pretty decent drop in price, significantly more affordable than they've been before. Of course, and as pointed out in the article, you got to have a switch or some other way of up that 10 gigabit connection to other devices in your home. This is in a Nantech article that was linked in the comments on that Reddit article. This is actually all the way back to June, but talking about some lower cost 10G base T switches coming, 4, 5, and 8 port Aquantia solutions at $30 per port. But I thought there was a picture. What happened to the picture? The picture's not there anymore. Still, $30 per port for an 8-port switch. You're still looking at well over $200. So that's, not cheap, but a lot cheaper than it used to be.
Sure.
Okay. So there you go. If anyone's interested in 10 gigabit Ethernet, which I believe, as I'm doing some upgrades to my home, I'm probably going to hook that up. I do very frequently transfer video files that I capture out here in the garage back to the editing system back there, and speeding that up would definitely be useful. And hey, with 10 gigabit Ethernet, you don't even need to transfer it. You can just use the stuff that's on the other computer.
Did you notice that was the Maximus 6 Extreme, the X299 board from Asus, came with a 10 gigabit card?
I think the ports on it are 10 gig.
Well, not just on the actual board,
card
but like a PCIe card or PC. Yeah.
I probably didn't look close enough.
Yeah, it said 10G on it. I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's a nice bonus. Maybe I'll use that for something.
Hey, I mean, if you're gonna spend $650 on a motherboard, then having something like that in there makes it a little bit more worth the money.
My laptop died. I forgot to plug my laptop.
Oh, why didn't you plug your laptop in? All right, let's move on. Our final segment is going to be Sword Fight, and we're going to be talking about, briefly, a quick story, which actually I discovered through Level 1 Techs, so Wendell and company over there. They have a weekly tech news show that they do. They post usually late Monday night.
It's probably so much more legitimate than our tech show.
Yeah, they go over way more stuff than we typically do. But Cosmos magazine story basically has indicated that physicists have found that we are not
alone
living. No, we are not. We're not living in a simulation.
Oh, damn it!
There's been lots of speculation.
I like that
Maybe
theory.
we are living in a simulation. Elon Musk, many others have been like, well, what if there's some really advanced civilization and they've developed some really advanced computer programs, and that's all we are is computer programs and whatnot. Well, a team of theoretical physicists from Oxford University in the United Kingdom has shown that life and reality cannot be merely simulations generated by a massive supercomputer.
You got this.
We're getting your computer's doing Windows updates.
Yes. Do you mind if I go to the bathroom really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I will run.
Okay. So, simply put, just see if I. Oh no, the dogs are barking. So simply put, they set out to see whether it was possible to use a technique known as quantum Monte Carlo study. Known as quantum Monte Carlo to study the quantum Hall effect, which is a phenomenon in physical systems that exhibits strong magnetic fields at very low temperatures, and manifests as energy currents that run across temperature gradients, indicating an anomaly in the underlying space-time geometry. I blacked out for a second. Was I talking just now? More to the point, though. The physicists involved, their last names are Ringel and Cavrizi. They've shown, though, that attempts to use these quantum Monte Carlo systems to model systems exhibiting these anomalies, such as the quantum Hall effect, will always become unworkable, basically because the complexity of the simulation is increased exponentially with the number of particles being simulated. This is usually the type of subject matter that I like to embark upon discussing after I've had several drinks. Anyway, I hope I've not been slurring my speech too much as I've discussed this, but the point is, if you want to simulate something, like let's try to simulate what's going on right now, what these scientists have discovered is that if you try to simulate it at the quantum mechanical level, it becomes exponentially more difficult to actually simulate. which means that a computer simulating that simulation would, like, there would never be enough computational power to actually run that simulation, because the simulation would become more and more complex so as to make it impossible for even the most powerful computer to simulate that. Because the reason for this being even something that's able to be done has been like, oh, well, computers keep getting more and more powerful. If computers keep getting more and more powerful, then eventually, of course, computers will be powerful enough to simulate everything. Therefore, what we are doing right now might be a simulation. But of course, these scientists have proven this wrong. So Kyle, who's of course now very well versed with the subject matter because he's been listening to everything I've been saying. You want me to run over that again real quick?
No, you summed it up.
I'll run over it again real quick for you.
Summed it up very well.
So these scientists, Ringel and Kavizri, they've set out to see whether it was possible to use a technique known as quantum Monte Carlo study to study the quantum Hall effect, a phenomenon in physical systems that exhibits strong magnetic fields at very low temperatures and manifests as energy current that runs across the temperature gradients, indicating an anomaly in the underlying space-time geometry.
Okay, now in English. You need to speak my language here, Paul. I gathered about 5% of that. The other 95% is lost on me. Sorry, I'm not smart. You just speak like a dumb person.
It's okay.
So that I get it.
It's okay. I understand all this. I understand all this completely.
I feel so inept.
All right. I'm gonna try to explain this, because the physics I don't understand. I don't pretend to understand that, but I do.
Sure.
I do feel like I understand the underlying principles here.
Okay.
Which is all right. Computers keep getting faster and faster.
Okay.
Which has led people to believe that as computers get faster and faster, and we develop software that can run simulations on them, eventually those the computers will be powerful enough, the software will be complex enough, the simulations will be in depth enough that what we are experiencing right now could potentially be a computer-generated simulation that's being run on supercomputers somewhere. Right?
Okay.
That's like Elon Musk has talked about this.
Yeah.
He's worried, like, maybe we're all just running, maybe this is all just a simulation.
Right.
What these scientists have discovered is that if you try to simulate reality down to the quantum mechanical level, the complexity of what needs to be done by the computers,
in order to simulate that,
it becomes exponentially more complex.
Right.
Which means it's impossible that what we are experiencing right now is a simulation.
It's like reality is too complex for any machine to process.
Basically.
TLDR.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all point out.
I can stand behind that. I can understand that high level concept.
Good. That's all we needed from you.
Gotcha.
So, with that being said, we move on to our very, very important straw poll topic, which I've just posted in chat, that we're going to argue about right now, which is, now that we know that we're not living in a simulation, and everything is terrifyingly real and happening right now, what do we do?
It's very scary.
We have a few options here. Panic, lose yourself to a life of hedonism and excess. Just keep on TCBing.
TCBing, what is that?
Taking care of business.
Oh, taking care of that.
Play a video game, maybe The Sims. Buy, sell, or have another beer. Let's make these arguments brief.
Yes. I will have another beer.
Kyle's going to argue to have another beer.
That's because that's the right answer to
While
everything.
While you argue that,
is the right answer.
I'm going to pee
to everything.
And get more beer.
Here's the reason. Panicking does no one any good. Panicking has always led to more people acting more stupid and losing their shit. Lose yourself to a life of hedonism and excess. Well, we all know how that goes. I'm living it right now. I'm living in pure excess with all of these riches and glorious objects around me. here in Paul's garage. You can see, as a human with literally every conceivable piece of computer hardware that my heart might desire, I am still, deep down, a sad and lost soul. So we can skip on that one just right off the bat. Just keep on taking care of business. That's a runner-up. That's a runner-up. That's probably my second choice right there. Play a video game. Okay, that could be my third choice. The Sims, maybe not The Sims. If you ask Wifey Sauce, that was one of her favorite games back in the day. But I'd probably consume myself with some Doom, maybe some Counter-Strike, some good old CS:GO. I don't know, Super Smash Brothers Melee. I don't know about The Sims though. That's just the Sims. You had me up until The Sims, so let's skip on that. Buy. That just costs money. Sell. That's too much work. Like, do you know how much time and effort it takes nowadays to sell something, at least on the internet or anywhere, really? You have to there's a whole process you have to go through. Selling is a pain in the ass. You might as well just donate it or give it away or destroy it if it's not usable. Clearly, the only option here is have another beer, and that is how I've voiced my case, Paul.
Perfect timing.
It's not really by arguing my point, but just talking shit on all the other ones.
I didn't bring a bottle opener, so I'm going to use this again.
Oh, okay. Is that the screwdriver, really?
It's my.
How effective is
It's my
that?
mechanical screwdriver.
All right. Oh, thank you.
It works.
Why, thank you. So what would your choice be, Paul? I chose have another beer because I'm right.
I would choose lose yourself to a life of hedonism and excess, which is basically
First mistake.
my answer. Because, let's be honest, how many of us are really considering that seriously, how much living in a simulation affects us in our lives?
I'm
Probably not that
considering it
much. I mean, maybe you've dabbled in it. Maybe you've thought oh, maybe that's a thing. That's kind of weird to think about. But seriously, honestly, not that much effect. So, to me, it just comes back to well, what do you do on an everyday, daily basis? What's your typical MO?
jerk it.
Hedonism and excess. So that's
Hedonism
what we
and
go
excess.
to. That's why we
Okay.
go to. That's why we go to Las Vegas every January.
Okay.
But there you go. But
I'm convinced.
let's see what you guys had to
Solid.
say about this one. I'm sure
Solid argument.
Kyle had a little bit more time than I did,
I sure did.
but I had to use
Talking
the
trash
facilities.
talking trash on your answer.
Have another beer,
Hey!
Kyle. You win.
I am
wins.
so convincing
You're on
when
point
you're not
there.
here.
You're right.
When you're not here to argue, my
Play a video
argument.
game was the
always
second choice. I did come in third with the hedonism and excess.
That
So
is
at least I'm in the top three. I did get a show in there.
That's true. But I am in the top 50%.
All right. So
Just saying.
that
Told you.
that
Shit.
was
You can
sword
rule-
fight. It was epic as always.
Yep.
And we're gonna move on to some Q&A
Q&A.
and some Johnson shoutouts. Let's start off with the donation comments.
Close half.
Um,
Eifling Poo for $5. My
Eifling
kid
Poo.
is using an older 1150 core i5 4690K. Is it okay to game OT time to
Or
upgrade
time
or
to
time to
upgrade.
upgrade? A lot of typos here.
I think you're okay.
Yeah. No,
It's a
4690K is
it's a
fine.
quad core, 4690K's solid processor. I think you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your kid's computer, so it's not. I mean,
GPU is really what you want to look at.
as long as you're not pushing for some really high frame rate 1440 gameplay or anything like that for 1080, and even some basic 1440 stuff, depending on the GPU you have lined up with it.
Yeah.
I think you're good.
Me too.
El
El
Jefe.
Jefe, $5. Gentlemen, El Jefe is drinking a glass of Drake's Jefe Weizen.
Oh, El Jefe
Oh,
Weizen.
cheers for
Cheers.
that brilliant pun.
Thank you, El Jefe.
Thanks, Heavy. Scott Dilbeck, once again, $10. Donation is for dog treats. Don't
thank
let
you, Scott.
Nori and Hero hear that.
I gave Nori and Hero a dog
Just
treat
quieting down now.
right before I locked them out of the garage before we started the show, because they were being all needy.
Here's
Fred Rant,
$50.
$50.
Woo! For bottle opener
God.
and a razor. Be clean shaven next week, Paul. LOL.
Fred, I'm never clean shaven.
What?
I get My neck gets irritated
5 o'clock
if
shadow.
I'm clean shaven, so I only ever go over it with clippers. I have a beard and mustache clipper, and I use that to buzz it up. So
peanut.
that's what you get.
That's what you get. You gotta donate more than $50 if you want to see Paul clean shaven. Is the moral of the story, Fred.
It's really been so long since I've been clean shaven. Anyway.
Living mediocre, $5. I enter into every single giveaway so that I can finally upgrade. I'm still on my AMD FX 8320.
Well, best of luck to you.
Yep. May the odds be ever in your favor. Jeremiah Hoyt, $5. Where do I send you guys beer? Also, which is more of an upgrade in gaming over an i5 3750K? Ryzen 5 or Kaby Lake Core i5? First off, you can send us beer to either of our P.O. boxes.
Yes.
They are in the description of our videos on YouTube. As far as your upgrading question, I think Ryzen 5 would give you more bang for the buck because you can probably get within 5-10% of the gaming performance you would with Kaby Lake Core i5, and you would get SMT, which Kaby Lake Core i5 does not have hyper-threading. So you would be limited to just the number of cores that you have, no extra threads there. And additionally, you get a little bit of upgrade path with Ryzen on the AM4 platform. You could potentially upgrade to a CPU with higher than, more than, what is that, 4 or 6 cores that you might get with Ryzen 5. Or I guess it would be 6 cores, sorry. 6 cores, so you can get, you can upgrade, you have an upgrade path there, whereas Kaby Lake Core i5, not so much unless you go to an i7, but that wouldn't be a massive upgrade either. So I think just in the interest of money and upgradability.
Yes, well spoken, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Steve Finlay for the 20 Canadiers. No comment.
Canadiers.
That's the best donation we can ask for.
Canadiers.
Thank you so much. Tom Bremsmitz
Tom's.
for the 100 Norwegian krona.
Thank you, Toms.
I'm learning so many new currencies with these donations.
I wonder if there's more than one Tom when this name is Toms. It's like
it's like just a cult of Toms.
Are there multiple of you? Okay, sorry.
First cloning in America. Okay, here in Norway, Coffee Lake will be available after December. Was planning upgrade to 8600K for my 7600K because I need a new motherboard anyway, but now I'm looking for Ryzen because of the upgrade path. That's kind of what we were just discussing.
Yeah, I mean...
you can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you very much, Tom's. David
Chow
Chow for the Tandara. If I sent you my old 780, rocking a 1080 right now, and paid for both return and send, shipping and handling, would you all sell Paul, Kyle, Hero, Heather, a random hobo of your choice? Sign it and send it back, please. Yeah, I mean.
Sure.
I don't see any reason why not. Yeah, we'll sign some shit for you.
Yeah, why not?
Sure. But only for you, Thievy. Nobody else.
Only TV.
Nobody else sent us a bunch of side panels that we have to sign. ZZ Hardy. Zizzer Hardy. 58. Australian. No comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ZZ.
Thank you, mate.
Significant donation.
Ryan D. $5. What advice would you give to someone who hasn't built a PC in 10 years? The hardware options seem endless. CPUs, mainboards, power supplies, cooling cases. Watch lots of videos, I guess, or read lots of articles.
Watch your videos,
lots of information.
Bear in mind, if you were into PCs 10 years ago, nothing is more complex than it was 10 years ago. Everything is the same or simpler than it was back then. So you're in a pretty good position. If you have a good handle on the basic core components of hardware that go into a computer, CPU, memory, motherboard, case, power supply, storage, graphics card, all that good stuff, then you're probably in a pretty good spot, and it's just a matter of familiarizing yourself with the platforms that are current and out and available right now, and all of them launched in 2017 for what's available right now. AM4 on AMD, Threadripper on AMD, mainstream for Intel would be either Skylake 1150 or 1151 or Coffee Lake 1151.
Right.
Or Intel high-end. Anyway, yeah. So you're in a good spot. Just watch videos.
Watch our videos.
Yeah.
Both me and Paul. Both Paul and I have some good ass videos.
Everything
for first-time builders, or people who haven't built in a while. Fred Rant, $5. IRS was not wearing glasses when they popped the cork.
Nah.
Fred,
right.
That's why we love you.
Supposedly it was just one guy whose fault it was.
Shut up, Paul.
Okay. Minestrone.
$5. Do the extra PCI lanes from Threadripper give significantly better performance in an SLI configuration compared to something like the new 8700K? No. I don't think so.
Not significantly. You typically going
lanes.
from 8 to 16 lanes. Because like 8700K, you have 16 lanes PCIe. So if you have 2 cards in SLI, you're getting 8 to each one, which is adequate, which is what NVIDIA requires.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of performance drop-off when you're comparing 8 to 16 lanes of PCI Express. But there's also a trade-off there because you get better single-core performance with an 8700K. So even... I haven't tested this directly. There's probably going to be some tests of this directly coming out fairly soon. I haven't seen any of it right now as far as SLI performance goes.
Right.
But yeah, there's trade-offs on both sides.
Yeah. Nerd Met 4L Chick
Nerd Metal
9.
Chick 9.
Oh yeah, Metal Chick 9. Thank you. You're so good at reading the lead speak.
Because she wrote it in quotes.
Well, you're also good at reading ahead. Nerd Metal Chick 9. You two are my top 5 tech
Thank you.
YouTubers.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much, Metal Chick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nerd Metal Chick 9.
You're like from your name, you're a female,
You
and we
sound
can
pretty
use
badass.
all the female audience members we can get
We're all
because
friends.
there's quite a dearth of female viewers in our little circle here. So thank you very much. Inferno Dude, 5 British pounds. Hey guys, just wondering if motherboard M.2 SSD slots use CPU PCIe lanes or the motherboard chipset PCIe lanes because the i7-8700K only has 16 lanes.
Depends on the motherboard.
Yeah, it's up to the motherboard manufacturer to determine where those, how those PCIe lanes are delegated,
For most of your
allocated.
Z370, 8700K motherboards, at least that I've seen, most of the 16 PCIe lanes are going to go to your PCI Express slots, and most of your M.2s are going to be running off
From the chipset.
off of the chipset.
Yeah.
Just because that's kind of how Intel designed that platform. You also get a little bit more functionality off the chipset because you can combine, I believe, up to 3 devices for RAID in a bootable thing, but they are all limited by the bandwidth of the chipset, so you don't necessarily get max peak performance out of them. Anyway.
Yeah. Next up, we've got something from.
I believe that's a Korean.
It's in Korean.
I believe that's
5,000 in 5,000 Korean currency. Good morning. I am your Korean fan.
Korean won.
Korean won. I am your Korean fan. I always enjoy watching. Thank you. Using
you.
Google Translator.
That is awesome.
Beautiful. It's it always pleases us to know when we have international viewers watching our stuff. It makes us feel more connected to
I
the
guess
rest
that
of
would
the
be
world.
South Korean won.
South Korean one.
We must clarify that.
Yes, of course. You
Uh,
would not have
thank
access
you.
to our show had you been in North Korea.
thank you,
Most
Korean fan.
Thank you,
I-
Korean fan.
I visited Korea once, South Korea.
I wanna go to
and-
Korea.
And I had a lovely
Korea
time.
sounds fun.
It was lovely.
We should go to Korea again. We should go to Korea together.
Okay, let's talk to Samsung.
Shoot a vlog. Yeah. Andres Rivero, $5. Hey guys, always like both your videos.
Thank
Question: as people who build computers a lot, how do you guys deal with Windows licensing? Do you never license OEM? Interesting
For
question.
most of the one-off builds that I do for testing and that kind of thing, I just don't license it. And
Right.
with Windows 10, you can use it for indefinitely as long as you don't want to do personalization stuff.
Right.
For any computer that I'm planning to use long-term, what I've been doing for the past year or two has been going to Kingwin,
too.
KINGUIN.net,
Well, I'm not the only one.
and spending about $30 and getting a license, and it activates and it works, and then you're fine.
I know there's a lot of hate around sites like that, like resellers, but I have never had a problem with them.
Yeah.
As far as Windows 10 keys go,
legitimate, I
Never had a
think
problem.
there's legitimate complaints when it comes to video games and developers and stuff like that. But when it comes to the Windows 10 keys, they are keys that are global keys that are made for, because you can charge $100 for Windows in the U.S.
yeah.
You can't in a developing nation where people have way less money than a typical consumer in the United States.
Right.
So they still want to get Windows there, so they have to sell it for less money. So, yeah.
I'd say the main downfall that I've seen from ordering keys off of Kingwin personally is that sometimes the key won't work initially if you're just trying to type it in through the through your system. You actually have to phone in,
Do the call in.
do the call in and
But I'm-
activate it that way.
I'm used to doing
That's
that.
totally fine though. I mean, it takes a little bit longer, but it's totally fine. I've never had a key like straight up not work. So, FY. Heather Hansen, Once again, my wife. $10. $10? Hi, Paul. You get $10 since Kyle complained about my $5 super chat. What?
Well,
Kyle, be thankful for your donations.
You should be more thankful.
Love
Kyle.
wifey. And I like how she signs stuff like love wifey. It's like, oh, I'm just
Love
such a nice,
wifey sauce.
good person, good-hearted Samaritan.
That's so thoughtful.
Love wifey sauce. Ah,
Thank you.
I've
Thank
never
you,
done
Henry.
any wrong to you. I will see you later. I will see you later tonight.
All right,
Okay,
we got
wife.
Fred Rant, who actually has 2 donations.
Fred Moon.
Oh,
yes.
What if those scientists
scientists-
were the developers of simulation and just trying to make sure we're not figuring out?
No, don't come up with those amazing theories.
Don't
Save
mess
that
with
for
our
like.
minds like that, Fred.
Yeah. What are you writing an HBO
We had
series?
this nice,
The fuck, man.
contained, it's like written, it's like cut and dry. This is how it is. Don't spread your doubt.
Some
to all
people
of
are
us.
saying that sound is peaking now.
Oh, really?
Did we bump
We're
one
getting
of
too
the
excited. We can turn up let's turn up the compressor.
compress? Maybe
Compressor level 4.
Maybe the volume has been fine this whole time. We've just been getting louder because we've been drinking more.
That's also a possibility. The volume is fine! Fred Rant, $5!
$100 if Kyle will shave Paul on next week's show. Now, he did not specify what part of you I would be shaving. So I feel like that's open to our interpretation, unless, of course, he donated another $100 to clarify what he meant by that. But I would think that we got this in the bag, man. $100, easy. $100
I like that.
easy.
That's 100. That's easy money right
Okay,
there. Thank you, Fred.
here's a question. If I had to shave you, though, what part of you would you want shaved the least?
My taint? Like, what is it?
Well, fortunately, shaving your taint probably does not fall within Twitch's terms
any
of service.
part of my ball sack? Like, what are you joking?
My wife can actually.
That's the easiest question to answer.
She's good at
Your
removing
wife
ball
I
sack
might
hair.
trust, but I don't think you'd want that to happen. That would be awkward.
For those of you who have no context whatsoever, my wife
She's
is a licensed esthetician.
Yes.
She's just naturally good at
Very, very soft.
removing
very
people's
soft hands.
ball hair. Anyway, James Anderson,
James.
$5. Why doesn't anyone seem to use Intel QuickSync with something like OBS? Performance hit is virtually none, and you can use the iGPU you paid for. I feel like that's generally because your graphics card can do a better job at it, so it kind of negates the need for something like QuickSync.
I've heard a lot of people who use it when they're on systems that don't have as much GPU horsepower or as much
Right.
CPU horsepower.
If you don't have the
and
discrete
it's
graphics
definitely
to
an option.
handle. Right.
There have been some tests that have shown Intel QuickSync video quality to be not quite as good as doing CPU encoding or GPU encoding. So that's certainly a consideration. But yeah, I like QuickSync. I like what it does. I like software that takes advantage of it. I think at least for my situation, I have enough CPU horsepower to be able to do it x86, no problem, and you get a little bit better video quality from my understanding that way. So that's why I've made that decision, I guess.
Makes sense. Spectrum Gaming and Tech, $5. Planning on starting my channel soon. Love both your vids. Question. You think the GTX 980 Ti is still good? Just asking because I have one.
Yeah,
of course. I mean, it was the best video card at the time, for the most part, for gaming. What, a year and a half, 2 years ago? Which means it's still going to be a really good GPU. I mean, people who are even on like a GTX 970 still are getting pretty decent frames in modern AAA titles. So I think you're just fine with what you got. But on that note, ladies and
Wait,
gentlemen,
there's one more. Spidey sound we skipped. $5 donation.
Oh, yes.
Love the videos, fellas. Prediction ETA on Volta. Also, wifey sauce is cuter than you, Kyle. Hashtag Team Wifey
Thanks for
sauce.
stating the obvious first
Yeah,
off.
there's no
There's no
argument
doubt to
there.
that. Prediction on
ETA on Volta. I don't know.
2018,
Like
mid 2018.
Nvidia probably would have launched a new GPU at some time this year if AMD
They had
had pushed them more.
Right.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
So Nvidia's kind of like, all right, we got a backlog of stuff we worked on, so who knows?
I think the second half 2018 is probably when we're going to see Volta. That's my opinion.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Computex.
Right. Yeah. June, mid-year.
That's first half.
Is it?
January, February, March, first quarter. April, May.
Oh, first half.
June.
Yes, first half.
June, still first half.
Yep.
Anyway,
Indeed.
all right. Some quick Johnson shoutouts before we throw you guys to a Twitch streamer who Cell has recommended. Where did my...
I got some Johnson
my
shoutouts
Johnson?
for y'all. Elliot Kaufman! Kaufman! Beware of bottleneck shirts, Johnson, to you, Elliot. We also have one from Natalie. Natalie Reed for the Awesome Hardware Sword Fight shirt. It's a classic. An instant classic. And finally, Cassandra.
Oh,
hey, Cassandra.
thank you, Cassandra.
Thank you very, very much for picking up a Beware of Bottleneck shirt.
All right.
You shall enjoy it.
Brian got the RGB Everything shirt, so that's for both of us. Thank you, Brian. In small. I just want to point out that it was a small size.
Small size.
And I've completely... Why did the back button completely go back? Rather, all right, Reese Johnson for you, Reese, all the way in Australia, in Burnbury, WA, which is not Washington. That's somewhere in Australia. Got the Thumbscrew gray T-shirt, Thumbscrew bottle opener, and the Tri-Blend shirt. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
You are freaking awesome. Natalie from Texas. Got the pub glass, single glass. Thank you so much, Natalie. Aaron got the mug, which is on sale. My 11-ounce mugs. They're almost out. They're very, very limited stock of the mugs. Thank you, Aaron, for the mug purchase. Finally, Shane from Wyoming got the Thumbscrew stainless steel bottle opener. Thank you so much, Shane. All right, guys, that is all for Awesome Hardware. Woo! For this week, October 10th, 2017. If you are watching live and you want something else to do right now because you're like, Awesome Hardware is ending, my life is pretty much about to end as well along with it. No. Don't go down that road. Go to twitch.tv/EchoJX. ECHOJX. And tell them that we sent you. We're gonna raid them right now.
Shit out of those fuckers.
We're gonna raid them hardcore. Say Awesome Hardware sent us.
Yep.
To EchoJX. Thank you guys all for watching today's episode of Awesome Hardware. Of course, if you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button, and we'll be back next week.
We're gonna go eat
Tuesday.
sushi.
We're gonna go get some sushi. It's gonna be awesome. And thanks to our moderators, of course.
So
as well as Spider. I don't know if Spider was in here today, but Cell, thank you. You're awesome. Thanks
and
to
Wifey Sauce.
Wifey Sauce as well. Thank you for moderating. Thanks to any of you guys who have been doing the timestamps. You guys are awesome too. You're
so much to be
people.
grateful for. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
And
See
that.
you soon.
Wait, I wanted to give an actual shout out to my timestamp.
Timestamper?
Dude, Hawk Bomber. It was Hawk Bomber.
Ooh.
Yes.
Hawk Bomber.
Hawk Bomber has done quite a few timestamps for me in recent weeks, so I just want to give a shout out to him. Anyway,
cool.
Thanks guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye guys.
Bye bye.
Have a good night.